And now we're going to go across to Colette, because marketing at this time is something that is still so very, very important for businesses to maintain. But we recognise that sometimes companies want to up their marketing activities, sometimes they might need to scale them back, and sometimes they might need to stop them entirely, just depending on where they are and what's happening to their business, their industry, what's happening from a COVID point of view, where they are in the country. So Colette's going to talk around all of those issues for us. So over to you, Colette.
Thanks a lot, Tracy. Well, at the moment, as we've discussed so far, the only thing that's certain in business is that we're surrounded by uncertainty. You know, as business owners, we are used to planning for multiple eventualities, but the speed that things are changing with the pandemic can put even the most organised business owners to the test. Now, different businesses are being affected so differently. Some are only just surviving, and yet some are thriving. And to some, apart from spending more hours on Zoom than they are in actual in-person meetings, actually not much else has changed. But what's happened today doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to continue to happen in the future. And that's why now is a great time to plan for the unexpected. And that includes planning some marketing, so you know what you could do to bring in more business if you need to. Even when there's not a pandemic, the best time to look at your marketing is before you urgently need it. Leaving your marketing and your marketing planning until the phone stops ringing and until your email stops pinging is not a great plan at any time, but especially not in this current climate. So try not to leave thinking about your marketing until you're experiencing a slowdown in inquiries. Think about it in advance. Then if you do need to ramp up the number of new leads, you can just turn your marketing on by putting your plans into place. I like to think of it as kind of turning on a tap. Now, if you don't have any plans, you could be wasting valuable time deciding what marketing action to take instead of starting to generate the new leads that you urgently need. So back to the tap analogy, instead of just turning on the tap, you've first got to find the tap and then connect it to the water supply. Instead of generating the leads you urgently need, you're writing copy, booking advertising and liaising with designers maybe. You're planning instead of doing, with little time to check or test anything. So as a matter of urgency, regardless of whether you need any new business now or not, I highly recommend you start to think about your marketing, and you do it now rather than later, even if you're busy. And the reason is, I just want you to ask yourself, if our inquiries dried up tomorrow, what could we do to generate new business? So a good idea might be to plan in a marketing brainstorm session. Now, as a business owner, you could either sit down somewhere quiet and work through your ideas, or you could run an idea generation session with your team. More heads the merrier. Take a look at what you currently sell and decide if there's any new ideas that you could look at. Is there maybe an option to pivot and offer something new? Take a look at who you currently sell to. How's your sales funnel looking? How much new business do you actually need? Or how much new business could you actually take on? That's a really important question. Also have a think, are there any other target audiences who might be interested in what we offer? Another good thing to do as part of this session is to work out what existing marketing collateral you actually have. Now, most businesses that I know have got a box of flyers in a cupboard somewhere. So have a look at those. Are they any good? Can you still use them? When you've worked out what you've actually got, then you can decide if there's anything new you need to try. So, you know, I suggest you make a list of what might need to be newly created, what might need to just be amended or reprinted. So you've got a plan of action. You could take a look at your website and your social media to check whether the information on there is all up to date. Do you need to add any new products or services you now offer, or take any off that you now don't or can't? And then in thinking about marketing, think about what you've tried before and what's worked well. What didn't bring in the returns you're after? And do you know why? Was it that the marketing method itself didn't work for your business, or was it just the marketing message you put out kind of discouraged the inquiries? And what other marketing have you seen other people do that you quite like to try? I also recommend you take time to do some competitor analysis, because most people will speak to a couple of companies as part of their buying decision. And if your prospects are taking the time to find out what the competition offers, well, it kind of makes sense that you do that as well. It'll give you a really good benchmark as to how you fare in the market with your marketing currently, and you might even get some ideas about how you can improve the communication of what you offer to your prospects. Now, taking time to do these kind of things to organise your marketing in advance will really help you, and it'll give you lots of benefits. For example, taking time to plan. So, taking the time to plan gives you time to really think about your target audience. So who are they? What problems do they have that your business can solve? How can you help them? Where can you find your target audience? How can you get them to see your business and be interested in you, and then actually engage with you and ultimately buy from you? Planning gives you time to test. So like most things in life, marketing isn't easy to get right first time. You need to try something and test it, and then tweak it, and then test it again, and each time hopefully improving the results. Taking time to plan helps you avoid panic buying. Now, panic buying is never a good situation to be in, no matter what it is, because you've got no time to analyse and no time to review. So when businesses panic buy with their marketing, they end up going sometimes for the most obvious options. And sometimes they're the most expensive options. And therefore, if you're not getting a huge response, can be the least effective. So having time to plan allows you the time to market your business smarter, which is much more cost effective in the long run and avoids wasting your valuable marketing budget on activities that are unlikely to bring you in a good return. Planning also helps you get the time to build relationships. While there are market sectors that will buy instantly, most purchases involve some kind of lead time or several consumer touch points. And depending on the industry you operate in, this could be weeks, days, months, or even years. So it never hurts to start now. Putting an effective marketing plan in place early will allow you the time to nurture and build relationships with your prospects, giving you a much stronger base to work from. After all, people buy from people. And there's never been a better time to keep in touch with your prospects and customers. No matter how your business is currently faring, taking time to look at your marketing now could really help how your business performs for the rest of this year, and also how well your 2021 begins. Getting to grips with the marketing process can really help your business. Imagine having a batch of marketing options that you could turn on. You can turn them on slowly, you can turn them on fast, or you can turn them off, depending on how your future orders and future leads are looking. In today's world, we're fortunate that there are quite a few marketing activities that are quite flexible and that can actually allow us to do this. So if your business is desperate for inquiries sooner rather than later, these are some activities that you may want to consider trying, because you can turn them on and off quite quickly. Just to reiterate though, these aren't a magic cure, and the earlier you can start trying these, to start testing and tweaking and to hone a winning formula, then obviously the better your results could be. So the first one is organic social media. Now, social media is great in how instant it is. So if you need more business, you can try posting more regularly on sites like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. But just remember, people don't like being constantly sold to. So think hard about your content. Make it interesting and engaging, not too pushy and salesy. Think about what you can say that will demonstrate how good you are at what you do. Give people a call to action and a reason to get in touch with you. Remember, not all your followers, unfortunately, will see all your posts. So you may need to think about other ways you can get people to see your content, such as by looking at sponsored social media. Now, sponsored social media is things like Facebook adverts where you actually pay to use them. And it is a great way to get your business in front of new people. Now, the options Facebook offers to businesses to target people are huge. You can target people by all sorts of categories, from age and location to job title and interests, and from as little as £5 a day. So it really is a great place to test your ideas. You can also target on Facebook by how they interact with your business, and you can even retarget them so they keep seeing your content. Definitely one to look at, and yes, Facebook is good for business to business sales. A lot of people see it as a business to consumer thing only, and it really isn't. It's good for both. Your database. If you've got a good customer and prospect database, don't forget to use it. If people are on your database, then they've had some level of connection with you, hopefully. So it may have been a low level of connection. Maybe they've just downloaded a free lead magnet from you, but they've had some kind of connection. And your customers on your database, don't forget to keep in touch with those guys. Don't assume that just because they've bought from you, they'll remember everything you offer, because they won't. So take the time to remind them, either by a friendly phone call to see how they are and if there's anything you can help with, or an email or an e-newsletter, just to keep them up to date with what's happening with your company. Remember, it's much easier to sell to an existing customer than it is to a cold prospect. And finally, direct marketing. Whether that's emails, telephone calls or direct mail, direct marketing is a fantastic way to keep in touch. Some businesses discount using it because of the cost of print and postage, but it can work really well if done correctly. Just think, if you've got a letter or a postcard that you've tested that you can send out when you need to generate some new inquiries, then it really is just like turning on that tap we talked about. COVID-19 has caused businesses some real issues this year, and we're not out of the woods yet, unfortunately. But it's also inspired some business owners to take action and put things in place that they ordinarily wouldn't have tried if they hadn't have had to make some changes. There's a great term I've heard used when it comes to marketing about throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. If that's been your marketing plan to date, then maybe COVID-19 could be the nudge you need to get your marketing organised once and for all. Talking of spaghetti, I hope that's provided some food for thought.
Very nice segue. Thank you very much for that, Colette. And yeah, you're quite right. You know, it is about keeping in touch with your customers as well as keeping in touch with your staff. So I think, you know, from both Phil and Colette, there are some really invaluable nuggets of advice there.